The Hudson H9 is alive. I don't want to bury that title in the upcoming video, so take note of it now, and I'll cover that in just a bit. Huge dreams, so many wonderful product aspects, financial difficulties, SpaceX, quality issues, business collapse, Daniel Defense acquisition, and new patents. We have a story of birth, death, and what looks like to be the pending rebirth. Let's visit the Hudson H9. In this video, I'll cover what is the H9, the life cycle of Hudson, and a recap of the issues. The H9s I have, and the associated parts and gear, the performance of the stock H9 and my competition rig, and I'm going to put that in those silly air quotes, performance of the H9 versus some other 9s, and Daniel Defense and the future. Stick with me as we walk through an interesting story culminating in the shooting performance comparisons of the H9 to several other pistols. First, what is the H9? It's a double-stack 9mm, striker-fired, steel-framed pistol combining aspects of the classic 1911. Steel-framed, yet lighter than a 1911 and a CZ75. 1911 style straight-pull trigger with a trigger safety dingus hinged at the bottom of the trigger. The guide rod and recoil spring are located in front of the trigger guard, the goal being high grip, low bore axis, resulting in less perceived recoil. Because of the location of the guide rod and spring, the accessory rail is at the bottom of the trigger guard. Front and rear check ring on the grip, G10 grip panels, Trijicon front sight, blacked out U-notch rear, and 3 magazines came with the pistol. Hudson was a short-lived company with an awful lot of gun tuber hype. Cy and Lauren Hudson excited the gun tubers, and the gun tubers spun up their video cranks. And I was excited for the release of the H9 too. A break from the polymer pistols, something new, different, and stylish. Plastic frame striker-fired fatigue and malaise is real, and the H9 was greeted with a lot of excitement. At SHOT Show 2017, the Hudson H9 was introduced. In 2018, a lawsuit was filed against Hudson for contract and payment complaints. Hudson was dead as of 2019. A recap of some of the issues that the customer saw. The stock sights shot low. This is something that is easily remedied with a sight change. It was, however, a nagging point in the Hudson narrative. There was a defensive position on the sights. They were combat sights, and the front sight should occlude the target, was one of the things we were told. Bullet weight was also referenced as a cause and solution. This was an issue that I experienced. Bullet weight didn't matter in my testing, 147 grain, 124, 115. So I replaced my front sight with a Dawson precision sight. I absolutely love it. For this video, I shot my stock H9 against the one with the Dawson sight, and the stock pistol shot fine. So was this issue something that went from pistol to pistol or across the entire line? Right now, I would have to say that it was pistol by pistol. Grip dimensions were off, allowing the magazines to fall out of the gun. Barrels were overboard, leading to poor accuracy. MIM, metal injection molding parts, were breaking, and the strikers were breaking. When you look at these issues on a gun that was marketed around $1,150, that's pre-pandemic and before we were able to enjoy the benefits of Bidenomics and the realities of Bidenflation, these should not be issues customers experience with a mature product. Personally, I can understand and accept these types of things from a new company and a new product. There's a learning curve to manufacturing. However, something was definitely wrong with the quality control of parts. Modern manufacturing, where the parts are coming in from outside suppliers, has the quality control taking place before shipping from suppliers. For Hudson to have duplicated all the quality assurance tools and processes that their suppliers have would be a huge unjustified expense. Hudson would own the QA post-assembly, and this is where skill and experience bit Hudson in the new company butt. Tolerances and the interaction of tolerances provide painful lessons. In reality, this is not outside what any company sees with a new product, especially one that is new from the ground up. One might entertain the impression that Cy and Lauren's management brought the company down. Mistakes and shady behavior took place, but the lessons about who you partner with and where those partners are located are real. The suit filed by Cambridge Valley Machining Inc. provides us with more of the Cy and Lauren Hudson perspective. The Hudsons controlled the companies, Standard, Hudson, and Skunk Labs. CVMI claimed that Cy and Lauren had money moving between those companies without regard for integrity. Money and assets coming from and going back to Cy's father, Billy Hudson Jr., were laid out in the case. CVMI was contracted to make a large number of H9 parts. CVMI claimed that the fraud from shifting money and assets around by Cy and Lauren benefited Billy Jr. and deprived them of judgment. Hudson claimed CVMI failed to meet contract dates, leading to cash flow issues and bankruptcy, and that CVMI did not object to Hudson's bankruptcy closing, nor did they initiate any adversarial proceedings. Hudson produced emails showing a lack of performance by CVMI, and that CVMI was, in my opinion, way out over their skis to enter this contract in the first place. The emails showed that while CVMI was underperforming, Cy and Lauren were trying to get parts out of CVMI by making concessions with the scheduling slips. Hudson claimed CVMI did not deliver the parts and Hudson could not make pistols to sell. CVMI produced defective frames leading to magazines falling out of the guns. CVMI produced defective barrels. CVMI couldn't produce the different parts in synchronized quantities. Don't send them 500 strikers if you can only make 89 frames. CVMI might have had too much of its focus on other customers, and this is where, quite interestingly enough, SpaceX comes in. A CVMI internal email mentioned that CVMI could not focus on barrel production due to the importance of the work for SpaceX. Was CVMI too focused on the SpaceX potential and neglected the assignment of skill needed for machine programming, parts inspection, and meeting delivery dates for Hudson? The laws in Texas and New York came into play as this contract spanned the two states. What I found most incredible is that New York's laws would have given preference to Hudson if they had canceled the contract with CVMI instead of trying to work with CVMI to get through the issues. New York would rather you cut your proverbial throat, eliminating any possible way to make sales because you turned off your supplier pathway, just in order to improve your standing with New York's Universal Commercial Code. One issue that's pointed to for the death of Hudson is the announcement of the H9A, the aluminum frame. While this shifted some potential buyers from waiting on the steel frame to waiting on the aluminum frame, thereby killing some sales, they were still waiting on the H9. I don't think this was a death blow. I think Hudson was already done at this point. Was the hype real? Heck yeah. In 2017, I was sick of black plastic guns. Glock interest had been waning. After all, the grip angle is the devil's work. Itty-bitty 380s were selling like mad. I put my order in at a local gun store in Dallas. I waited and waited. Seemed like forever. When it was finally in, I walked out with a new H9 and a new M9A3. I didn't tell the wife, but it was a heck of a day. The packaging for the H9 was really cool. Hudson did a great job departing from the cheap cardboard boxes and plastic clamshells. It had a magnetic closure box, the custom-fit multi-layered foam inserts, and nice artwork in the manual. Taking it out of the box, the pistol felt fantastic. I liked the weight, I liked the grip angle, I liked the materials used. Then I shot it. I loved it, but I was also kind of bummed. The pistol shot really low. I sent the slide to Dawson Precision and waited for a new front sight. The Hudson H9s I have and the associated parts and gear. I have two H9s, one serial number in the 2400s and one in the 3100s. One H9 I replaced the front sight with a Dawson Precision fiber optic. It's a little lower than the stock sight and corrects the low point of impact issue. The front sight is also a little narrower, giving me the possibility of being more accurate, but my eyes are getting old and it doesn't help. I have a handful of extractors and strikers. On my shooter, I swapped out the grips for an aggressive set of G10s. I believe these came from Steven Steele, who is quite active on some different Hudson forums. He has some beautiful grips and knife scales. A custom holster from Rain Tactical. I really wish this guy would have been able to stay afloat. I'm not sure what happened to him. I really liked his products. I have a couple custom holsters from him. And a bunch of magazines with KE Arms base plates and extended base plates. Oh, I remember why we're here. We're here to talk about the H9 being alive. Well, that'll have to wait just a minute, because now I get to geek out on my guns and shooting them. I'm going to shoot the H9 and record some times doing the chaos drill. And this is a little modified. I'm just going to go up one side because I want to use these times also against some other guns later that are single stacks. What is the chaos drill? Well, this is a series of 5 different targets that I have set up. These are 10-inch plates at 10 yards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the way it goes is I hit 1, I hit 2, I go back to 1, then I go to 3, then I go back to 1, then I go to 4, then I go back to 1, and then I go to 5. I'm going to shoot this drill against some other 9mm also. An XD subcompact, a Springfield P35, a Springfield Hellcat, and a Beretta M9A3. You know, the one I bought at the same time I got the H9 and didn't tell my wife about. It'll look something like this. This was my first run of the day. The P35 became painful to shoot. The XD subcompact is a joy to shoot. I've shot it in many competitions. The Hellcat is not a range fun gun. The first double action trigger pull on the M9A3 made it at least a half second slower for me this day. The H9 was fun to shoot. My lowest time over the period that day was 5.32 seconds. I know I could have gotten it down below 5. I just got tired of sweating. Here's a look at that Hudson recoil. Easy to manage. And now, to why I say the Hudson H9 is alive. Daniel Defense purchased some aspect of the Hudson design. 2 to 3 years ago, they floated a survey asking for feedback on a couple variants of the H9. In May of 23, I met a guide in Argentina that had hunted with Marty Daniels a while back. Marty let him shoot an H9 and asked him what he thought of it. I don't think Marty would have done that if he wasn't excited about the pistol and believed it had legs. So now for some really good news. Patents. There have been some recent patents published for the Hudson. The top 4 here are with Daniel Defense. This is activity post-Hudson's closure. The 5th with Cy Hudson and Eugene Kane from Skunkworks LLC. The 2 I am looking forward to are the trigger improvements and the non-captive recoil rod and spring. Will Daniel Defense be releasing the H9? I think so. Maybe another SHOT Show superstar announcement? We will see. The H9 is alive. I've had fun shooting mine, and I'm going to be carrying it on my hip more often. Thanks for sticking with me. Take care.